You know what time it is. Welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Optimus Tom, resident AP, plays mid and his styles are shady. Got a syndrome, can't nerf it. You can find him in the chat, type of worth it. And that's Hornet, stuck in evil hell. Thought it was going up, once again it fell. Never spent a single dime alone, and if you step into his jungle, expect a brawl. Auslander, math specialist, he's precise and tolerate estimates. The man's addictive as every hero, you can tell cause his bank account's stuck at zero. And last but not least, your host pwnophobia, picks an 80 carry, and he's on ya. He's got the full mount, ground and pound, don't get excited, it's not as sexy as it sounds. That's your whole team, enjoy the podcast. Put your headphones on, we'll have a blast. We're checking email and Twitter, of course. Just don't ask us how four guys make a Triforce.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. My name is pwnophobia. I am your host, as always. I'm only here this week with a couple of guys. Unfortunately, Optimus' mom had to go do something, and Sotere isn't answering any of his text messages, so scumbag Sotere name drops last week and is too busy and too popular to join us this week.
John Frank's a busy fellow, so
he's probably smooching it up with George or Brian.
Yeah, he's probably on a Skype call right now. We should check his Skype. He's probably Skyping with all his friends. Trevor, everyone.
Trevor Keaton. Can't forget him. As you heard, Auslander is with me.
Yep, I'm here. Old school.
Wow, yeah, we are going way back old school, and Hornet's with us too.
I was gonna say it's old school time. Let's go. We got this.
Oh wow, I don't know how to handle this. I feel like a lost little puppy. Like no Optimus Tom to make fun of.
Well, Optimus Tom's attendance is pretty shoddy at best. I mean, he's basically every other week, and even then, we usually have to reschedule to get that other week. So, like last week, we recorded on a Thursday, I think. Right? Was it Thursday?
Yeah, it was Thursday.
And we usually do Tuesday nights, but we had to reschedule because it was just a disaster. Would have been like. Actually, I think it was going to be 3 last week, right?
Yeah, it was going to be 3, yeah.
And we bailed out, but not this week.
Nope, we can't do it this week because I promised a podcast this Thursday.
Yeah, it's funny because we talk like, oh man, there's only 3 of us, but like when we started, it was only 3. And I don't know, we're just a bunch of cowards, I guess. We're like, we need Sotere and Optimus Tom just to go on.
Well, we don't need them. I never felt like we needed them to get this thing started because we've always done it before. However, it does add a bit of difference into our opinions because, as we said, we like to make fun of Optimus Tom as it is. So
and the Banhammer.
I'm kind of sad that
the Banhammer caught Optimus Tom in a lie last week, which was hilarious. He's like, my Syndra, I was destroying lanes, so good. Look at his history. He's like, what do you got, like a 4-11 and 2?
Yep.
And we played with him this week as well, and it was god awful. Like I even gave him an early kill. I jungle ganked, gave him a nice easy lane early kill up in gold, and he proceeds to feed the Viger he was going against for the next 4 kills solo. Wasn't even ganked. That's how bad it was.
Oh god.
So I don't know if that's a representative of Tom or Syndra, but probably a little bit of both. So we'll just go with that.
I was gonna say it's probably he was complaining halfway through the match. Oh, Syndra's not as broken as I thought she was. You can't toss creeps over the wall. 30 seconds later, he goes, "Watch!" and he tosses one over the wall.
He's like, "Oh, I just screwed up." Yeah, that's the way it goes.
And then I was watching the Banhammer play last night, and he was playing Ezreal top, and I'm like, I wanted to message him, and I was actually gonna message you at one point because you were like way overextended. And I was going to message you, like, you should probably fall back. But I was like, yeah, by the time he gets this, he's probably already dead. So, because he was just so overextended. I'm like, what are you doing?
This is normal, by the way. This is normal bravado out of pwnophobia. This doesn't change much. You got to understand.
You're watching the map. You didn't see that Vayne just sneak across and...
No, I didn't see her sneak across. No, there was actually one engage where I went to engage on Mundo because I had him at like under half life, so I was going to Executioner's calling him and just kill him. And I E'd into him, and the Vayne comes flying out of the jungle and just destroys me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, as long as he doesn't E, he's probably okay. Oh, he just E'd to initiate. And then there was another game. I went running and I came back, and you guys were playing a game. And I don't know what the hell happened, but it seemed like the other team was just in like hyper troll mode. I don't know if you guys...
Yes!
I don't know if you like destroyed them early and they, broke their will, or if they were just trolling right from the onset.
No, Vlad started with mana potions.
Oh yeah, I saw he had like an archangel staff, I think.
Yeah, no boots, archangel staff.
If you listen to this podcast and you take mana potions on Vlad, please turn us off now.
No, you don't. Just keep it on. You need help.
Target demographic.
I'm sorry, but come on. You know a little better than that he doesn't run off mana. Please tell me you do. That was Oh, and another thing about Vlad, if you're gonna play him, if you've never played him before, don't start with pull. you don't pull towards the tower.
Yeah.
that is like of all the number one rules of League of Legends as Vlad, don't pull into the tower as your start. Then what the hell are you going to do? Because you're not getting the hell away.
Right. You don't have the move speed to get out, especially if you have broken quints.
Well, you should take your own advice there, Adam, because you were E-ing in to kill that Mundo yesterday with Ezreal, and hey, let's just take away my escape. We'll be fine.
Yeah, I couldn't get over.
Oh yeah, with
Flash.
Ezreal, do not E into a.
Well, don't. You can E into stuff, but like,
right.
Make sure you're.
You can finish it off if you know you can finish it.
If you're pushing the second tower and everyone on the other team is MIA, it's usually not a good idea to E.
Yeah.
Don't E into initiate a fight.
But I had an Executioner's Calling.
Yeah,
he was
that's
gonna
true.
die.
You had him freaked though with the Executioner's Calling because he would just run his ult like when you weren't even around. He would just use it to heal. He wouldn't use it to like kind of get any kind of aggressive play. He just would heal with it.
I was just trying to, every time I potion, I would try to Executioner's Calling him. Screw you! 75 life, that's all you're getting.
That's one of those items that I don't really know if it's good. I mean, it's good in certain situations, but just because the active it's a 60-second cooldown.
Yeah, it's short.
I just love that
so much. Situational, but if you get it to work at the right time, I mean, I could see it. It's kind of funny because I think I don't remember seeing it much in any kind of top level game, but the one thing is when we had the whole heal meta when Soraka was out there all the time, as a support being picked, and you ran like heal comps, it kind of made sense to actually counter it. I still remember the old heal comps from I think it was Dignitas who would actually run heal comps way back in the day, and they would just survive whatever damage you would put out. Well, it was actually one of those items that you could actually flip to kind of change the tide for you if you could survive long enough.
Oh, it's a 20-second cooldown on the active.
Yeah, I knew it was really short.
That just seems broken.
Well, the problem with it is pretty much needs to be on someone that's in melee range. Like I had it on Ezreal, and we would engage a fight, and I would call that I had Executioner's Calling down on Mundo, but it didn't actually go off because he would be just barely out of range.
Yeah, you have to like dive in on him.
Yeah, so like when you're Ezreal, you want to stand in the back, obvly.
Not the way the Banhammer plays. Front lines, baby.
High tank damage.
I got this, guys. Everyone behind me. It's kind of...
See, the funny part is pwnophobia wants to play top because he wants to live longer, but then all of a sudden he picks Ezreal, and it's like,
that was your big idea to me yesterday. He's like, I'm going to start playing AD carries top. I'm like, oh.
No, it wasn't 80 carries. It was Ezreal and Corki.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they're like a little hybridy. But
as I say, 80 carries with escapes, except he doesn't use the escapes for what they are.
No, I engage with them.
Yes,
you see,
exactly.
with Corki, I W over the person to get them to walk through my AoE trail, so that way they take damage while they're walking away.
And then
the way you run around.
Another game last night too. You got to take the greatest skin out for a test drive.
Oh yes, the Bankplank build.
Special Forces. Woohoo!
No, everybody has to know the power of Bankplank and how to invest in Bankplank.
Because you have to try it once if you haven't. I have to even admit that.
It's so much fun.
It is worth trying if you've never done it. And please explain it, because there might not be people who know what it is.
Yes, Gangplank, for those who don't know, his Q, when you last hit a minion with it, you get an extra little bit of gold. I believe it's 8 at max level. And, sorry if you hear a bunch of slamming in the background, I do have esports dog number 2 behind me playing with items, so I can't really stop her. So I do apologize tonight, guys. But anyway, Gangplank, when you last hit a minion with Q, you get an extra gold, so... assuming you have a safe lane, you can max Q and gain gold every time you last hit a minion with it. And then, like the way I run him with gold pretend seals and sometimes quints, and sometimes even down the utility tree from gold pretend.
Oh, God.
And I just try to get it, and then you get 3 to 4 gold pretend items. So Kage's lucky pick is just you
had 15k gold by the end of the game we played.
And it was like 25 minutes, 20 minutes. It was dope.
It was so sick. It was like, okay, at some point you have to wonder, like, could you? I seriously want to try that as support. Bankplank support.
You got to steal minions though.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the problem.
Maybe jungle then, because that
he's
would
too slow. the only place for a Bankplank is top. Yeah.
I feel like with all the other points of it, if you could survive in the jungle, you would still be a power come 30 minutes into the game.
That's the problem with Bankplank. He's not powerful.
He's not powerful at the beginning. No, you're not getting ganks, but you're completely
his mid
late
game is 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You're completely late game at that point.
That's when you're playing Bankplank, you want laning phase to go on to about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just come out of laning phase with your full 6-item build. Like, okay, let's do some fighting. And
nobody's seen Gangplank gank yet. Nope.
No, because you have an ult. What are you doing?
Seen him yet.
And it's the perfect character for Pwn because he just never has to leave top lane. It's like, okay, guys, fight him 4v5. I'll just ult him.
Yeah, that's all I do.
Not leaving lane.
No, the entire time last night they would engage a fight, and they're like, Gangplank, why aren't you there? I'm farming. Here's my ult.
That's exactly right. He didn't want to end the game. He wanted to go back and farm some more. See how much we could get. It was a new objective for him of playing the game.
Yeah, they were like, let's push mid. Nope, going top farming. My tower's not down. I got plenty of time.
Well, I remember I goaded you into it. I think the first time you played Bankplank, we had I think it was the three of us, and then we had Holy Spork and somebody else, maybe Optimus Tom. And first I talked you into it. I'm like, all right, you go 4 gold per 10 items on him. And you're like, okay. And so you had the 4 gold per 10 items, and you're like, now what? I'm like, Lichbane, go AP.
Yeah. I did Death Cap, Lichbane, Kaguya's lucky pick.
Yeah, DFG. It was just because his ult actually. What's the ratio on his ult?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's a 1-to-1 on his W though.
It's well, yeah. His W is at level 5 is 360 heal plus 1 per AP.
Yeah.
So that's you could just heal yourself for like 800. His ult is 0.2 per ability power. Yeah. So. But that's 160.
Yeah, 0.2 per cannonball.
Yeah, per cannonball. Right? Yeah, I have no idea. I'd have to do the math on that. But
that's what we have.
Seriously, there's some math. Wow.
But it does some damage if you have a death cap and a Lichbane. Your ult does his cannon barrage does quite a bit of damage. But
one of my favorite things is setting top lane and stealing kills from like bottom when they engage.
That's the best.
Because it seems like every time I play Bankplank, like right when I hit 6, I have to use my ult because somebody's engaging right when I hit 6 because they're just hitting 6 too, and then I get the kill, and they're like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "I can't control my cannonballs."
There's nothing more demoralizing like playing against a Gangplank top lane, and you're like playing him even, and then he hits 6 and just ults and that like gets like a lucky last hit kill, and you're like, "Well, I've just been playing this guy dead even. Now he's up 400 gold."
Now he's up. Yep. Now he's up because he already assisted, or he doesn't have to leave a lane to help in Dragon.
Right.
Whereas you play him and you probably have to teleport down if you're going to help, but yet it still changes the whole fight, him putting the ult out there.
Yeah.
He could be so annoying, I agree with that.
Don't forget to run teleport on him, because you early teleport every time. You get 800 gold and you go back and get your Philo Stone and you teleport back to lane. Every time. It doesn't matter. You get that early Philo Stone as quick as you possibly can.
I remember during, I think it was season 1, I used to watch this team called Oh God Bears play, and it was I'm a Cutie Pie, but Crutched, V-Man 7, Lightning, and I can't remember their last person. But yeah, one of the games, this is like Gangplank, this is before they, I guess, fixed Gangplank around DreamHack, where his E was like a deny mechanic. You would kill one of your own minions to get the buff.
Right.
And V-Man 7 played Gangplank bottom lane, and just at the time too, I think Gold Quince, people didn't really run them as much, but he was running like Gold Quince on them, and I just remember it was like the first time I had seen it where V-Man just stayed bottom lane in the whole game. The rest of the game was going on. And then about 40 minutes in, he's like, okay, I'll carry. I got this. And, he just had like an Eye Edge, Phantom Dancer,
Well, this is when crit was. They had the 4% crit from
that's right.
Masteries too,
yeah,
right?
The crit was probably stupid.
Well, no, it was season 1. I don't think they did that for season 1, right? I don't really remember now.
What, the Masteries?
The 4% crit in season 1. I thought that was the season 2 edition. But yeah, I'm not sure.
I could have swore the old Masteries had the crit on it. That's what made him good, and then they changed it. They changed it again.
Yeah, they did.
That definitely hurt him, but that was in season 2. Because they got rid of it.
No, but they still ran a crit plank before that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because your Masteries gave you crit back in the old Mastery tree,
okay.
And then the new Mastery came around. You still had the crit, and then they got rid of that crit and changed it to scaling AD per level.
Let me see. I'll look at the season 1 Mastery tree.
Because we used to talk Auslander and I during the day. We theory craft every day, and
math nerds alert.
It's not even math. I'm just like, I want to try Corky Top, or what should I do with these runes? And he's like, well, you're dumb, but you should do these.
Well, you're dumb, but let's look at it anyway.
Oh yeah, you're right. Lethality, 3.33% per point, 3-point max. Huh.
And that was the original Mastery tree.
Yeah, the offense. Yeah, but you had to go. I think what killed it was that, because to get that you have to go like 17 points into the Mastery tree to get it, I think, in season 1. And now this one, you only needed to go, it was like 13 points to get the crit. So that was like, you didn't have to go all in on offense to get it. You could go 13 in offense and 17 in defense, and you'd be pretty scary.
Worth it,
that's right. Well, you should see my Gangplank Mastery tree. It's like 9, 12, 11, or I can't even do the math right, but it's dumb.
Oh, you get the crit damage, don't you?
No. Why would I crit damage? That's way too many points. I need to put points in my Mastery tree.
You need no defensive masteries. Forget that.
You're right. For Bankplank, you certainly do.
No defensive masteries. Screw that. You go offense to get lethality, and then you just jump back over and get the gold from.
No. You go down and get sorcery for the 4% cooldown reduction, so you can Q more.
It's actually a time investment. I like it.
8, 10, 12. That is my mastery page right there. You get the 4% cooldown reduction. You get Veteran Scars for plus 30 life, and then you get Greed for an additional 2 gold per 10 seconds. That is how you play Bankplank.
By the way, if you're ever playing and you run into pwnophobia and he's playing Gangplank, just attack him early.
Yes.
I run plus 25 armor with my runes.
No, you just said you run gold per 10 seals.
Yeah, you go.
But I run armor marks.
You run armor marks.
If you're a jungler and you see Gangplank under pwnophobia top, you go and you gank him incessantly. Yeah. You will never be a part of the game because he won't get his Philo Stone until 10 minutes in, and then you'll be good.
I run 15 armor, 12 magic resist, 4 gold per 10 off of because I run the quints and 4 seals.
Oh wow, that's funny.
Yep, I got it taken care of. Look at all that armor. No one's gonna move me out of lane. I'm Gangplank, damn it.
Somebody recognized us in a game on Sunday morning. We were playing threes ranked when we were just doing poorly, and they're like, "Oh, we know you guys," or something like that.
Yeah, my friend loves you guys.
Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, my friend loves you guys," and I was just like, "Yeah, after you like completely stomp us, just like please lie to him and say we were actually decent." And
granted we were playing Darius that game.
We just had it's like one of those things like where you probably just shouldn't be playing anymore because you're just like arguing with each other and making dumb decisions, and I don't know. We needed somebody to be making calls. Instead, we just argued. We were like in a team fight and we were arguing about something else that happened earlier.
In the middle of the team fight, we're fighting and arguing. So
and not even about the team fight. Not even like stunner. We're like,
I'm sure that team fight went well.
Yeah.
No, I think it was more like I don't think you should play Fizz because if you have this alt and he puts it out arf arf and we're talking about it, like I don't really think it does that well. We die.
No, I was yelling to Wrecker about something. I can't remember what. It was something he did that I thought was dumb or.
Well, everything.
In case you didn't know, like the podcast doesn't leave. It doesn't just stay in the podcast. We actually take it into games with us. So if you ever end up playing a game and there's a couple of fans who have actually played games with us, you kind of know that it just kind of rolls over and goes in. Especially if either Auslander or Optimus Tom is with Pwn and I can guarantee that like the same way that we talk in this podcast is the same way we play in the game. So that's why the podcast actually started when I think about it. Because it makes perfect sense. Like, oh, well, yeah, what do you think about this? No, you're an idiot. Oh, well.
Yeah, well, we're already talking about it. Might as well record it.
It's just the way it works around it, and for good or bad. Well,
right.
bad, but okay.
Mostly bad. No, I think it works out. Well, don't ever bring up our first and only ever 5s game we ever played. So.
Yeah, it was just fail. I remember I got first blood. I was running. Don't even ask me why. I was running all crit runes on Gangplank. What was that video? Low elo Gangplank or whatever.
Yeah.
Crit runes, Gangplank. Crit.
Yeah,
runes.
that's it.
Yeah, that was me. I was just like, I did it actually, like, because I normally would just run armor pen, but I was like, I bought these crit runes. I might as well take them out for a test drive. And I got first blood. I crit the guy like 3 or 4 times in a row because the guy was playing. I think he was playing Garen. And I was like, I queued him, crit, went up, hit him again, crit, and then he tried to run away. I think I ignited him and critted him again. That was it.
You know what it was, and I was thinking about this. I believe it was Darian from Moscow 5 was in Kiev, was running a Gangplank that was a terror. Like, they banned, that was the last time I remember anybody banning Gangplank in a game, in a high level match against anybody, because Darian was such a terror with Gangplank, like pushing, and you try to move him and you couldn't. It was like literally just a sick job that he could do, just absolutely pushing away the lane. And then since then, I don't know. The only other thing I can think of is playing Gangplank against Yorick was always a thought, but because you could crit off of the ghouls and still.
Could you get your gold?
Yes, you could still get the gold back. So that was the only other counter that they ever had for him, and just never see him again, which sucks.
Well, I guess speaking of Yorick, I guess we can kind of roll into the patch notes that just came out.
Yeah, true.
What were you saying? I didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to say anything good.
Well,
it was going to be awful.
Say it's good, so.
Oh,
I will say, if you have not seen the patch notes that are coming out, and this was already speculated on the public server, that the ghoul base movement speed was reduced from 350 to 300 at level 1. And now they gained their speed back later in the game, but that's what made him so dominant in lane, is the ghouls could chase, do some damage, and just absolutely be a terror in the top lane.
You couldn't run the ghouls off.
Yeah, they got in the way. They got in the way of, they could no longer block your path as an enemy, and they blocked your path all over the place, so you couldn't last hit, like, because you couldn't move around the ghouls enough. And you were taking damage while that was happening. So it was a bad combination. Well, they fixed that, and they also reduced the speed, and then they also increased the mana cost of Omen of Pestilence. And it's a significant increase, 15 per level all the way through. That may just kill Yorick from being seen in Season 2. It would not surprise me.
That's a pretty big mana increase.
Absolutely it is, especially early. Huge. Because you're already taking, a lot of times you already started with a mana regen item. Make sure you got a tier a lot of times in a build. You were already, trying to make sure that you could keep mana on him. That's really going to hurt. And I think his early game may have him just be pushed out. And of course he falls off really hard at the very end game. When he's 18, his damage output really falls off pretty hard. So he was always a great mid-game champ.
I was going to say, just in general, unless he's fed, he doesn't really do that much damage. He's just really annoying, and that's kind of why we picked him for Soteric, like we talked about last week.
Right, right.
The Omen of Pestilence has a one ratio on as magic damage. So I was always wanted to build him with actually AP Yorick as a support with the Deathfire Grasp, but it didn't work when I tried it. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, and Yorick too. I mean, his ult doesn't really scale up anything. You just need levels, and that's kind of like late game. All Yorick's good for anyway is like ult the Vayne or ult the whoever.
You ult AD carry. It's a 6v5 situation, and really can make it.
Well, it scales off of what they do, doesn't it?
Yeah. You want to ult. I mean, I used to see TSM. They would ult like Karthus, so he would just have his. They'd have to like kill him twice. He would just dive in, get killed. And then come back to life and.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forget about giving life again. But
yeah, that's one of the best things about him. Gives life and allows the person to control
right,
him.
and so they stick around in the team fight even longer. And
Yeah, give an extra
about,
an extra 10 seconds to just do some damage, and then they used to just clean up with
Karthus. That was sick. I completely forgot about that. I haven't seen it recently, but it made a lot of sense for it. Like I said, I don't think we're going to see him in the Season 2 championships now. I think that just absolutely destroyed him to the point where I don't think he's going to be viable.
Well, you know what I've liked a lot, at least recently, speaking of interesting compositions, was there's a Lulu Nocturne composition that we saw in the OGN finals last week. Who was it last week? It was Najin Sword versus LGIM.
Yeah.
And I want to say LGIM had the Nocturne Lulu.
Yes, they did. They did, that's right.
And it was perfect. And I actually was talking to Auslander about this, and he had brought up another combination of a Nocturne that I'll maybe let him speak about if he would like to. But Nocturne would dive in, and as soon as Nocturne made it into the group of people, Lulu would ult them, and it was pretty much like having a pop-up on Nocturne as soon as he made it in there, and it was just sick. Unfortunately, they ended up losing the game, but still, I mean, their initiations were fantastic with that.
Yeah, and the fact is that it was long enough that the darkness was enough to disorient, and then the pop-up of almost everybody that was around was enough to just stun them enough that you get all the initial damage off on wherever you want to go in a team fight. The problem was, and I'm trying to remember how they beat the composition, but it was really superior positioning was what it ended up being. Because if you weren't positioned too close together, you weren't affected by it as much. But as soon as you got positioned in the wrong spot, say you were, around a Baron pit or around a Dragon pit, and that actually happened, it's a really, really nasty combo. But the other part of it is that Nocturne then becomes really, really beefy, which usually Nocturne isn't. Usually Nocturne is somebody you can focus down if you want to. He just doesn't quite have enough damage, and this case he ends up being a beefy front line. You can't really just burn him down, else you're going to really pay for it because you've already been knocked up and lost a second as it was. So
yeah, what was the other one, Auslander, that we had talked about with Nocturne? We saw it in I want to say season 1, maybe early season 2.
No, it was, I think, what tournament was it? But it might have been MLG Anaheim, where TSM was running Kale with Nocturne, and they would Kale ult Nocturne, and he'd dive in, so they couldn't really put any damage on him. Because it would just be, wasted damage with the Kale ult, and he would just go in and try to blow up the carry, and then everyone else would go in and fight. And I feel like they were throwing another ult on him too, but I can't remember who or what.
Well, the fact is that once they figured out the Kale Karthus combination, they didn't really worry about using Kale Nocturne anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the Kale Karthus nomination is really one of their staples that I don't think anybody else really runs to perfection like they do, because Dyrus is so good with Kale top. His ability to know the matchups up there really makes a difference, because I don't know another top laner who plays Kale that well. And then of course we all know how good Reggie's Karthus is.
Right.
He's been so good with that for years, and his global presence is already good enough as it is. But then when you combine the two and you keep the life longer on Karthus, just jumping into the team fight and zoning out whichever way he wants, doesn't care if he dies, because he knows he's doing even more damage even after he dies. That's just the way that goes, and I don't know if they're going to play that in Season 2 championships.
I don't think anyone's going to let them play that in Season 2
That's a good point. They might ban Karthus and make sure they do, but
because I think Reggie is going to be the point ban for any TSM match. Because I was reading something today, and I started writing, and one of the questions I was writing for was, what does TSM need to do in Season 2 to win? And I was going to say, don't let Reggie pick Twisted Fate, get Morgana for Reggie. But I don't think it's going to happen.
See, the only problem there is the fact that there are so many still considered overpowered champions that are still out there. Your Shen, who's normally banned, your Alistar, who's normally banned, and if TSM has first pick, they might not bother banning all of those and leaving one of those open, forcing you to choose how you're going to use your bans. Now, we've talked about this before, where maybe in Season 3 we're going to see 4 bans because of the sheer amount of number of champions that we now have in League of Legends, since it's over 100. But with only 3 bans per side, and just enough overpowered, tier 1 champions, however you want to call it, it's going to be interesting to see if they decide, what TSM's going to force to do in the picks and bans phase, and I think that's something to really watch for, because if you're not going to let them play Kayle Karthus, the only way you're going to do it is really by banning Karthus, which is fine. But if you're going to target Reggie, it's Karthus Morgana, okay. But then you're leaving Shen, which TSM split pushes all the time with. You're leaving Alistar, which I don't think Odd One plays, but Special certainly does. So it's going to be a weird combination to see. And the other thing about these patch notes, they didn't touch those champions. All the ones I just mentioned. None of them were touched. None of the quote-unquote overpowered ones of the Alistar Shens. I guess Vladimir was touched. Maybe that's one that's either played or picked. And Dyrus has a really good Vladimir, so there's one. But still, you get my point, though. It's going to be tough to really ban out what TSM wants to do.
Well, you sound like... I mean, that's the same thing with everybody. CLGEU is the same way. You can target ban Froggen, for example, and you ban all of his, but now you've left open like Alistar for Snoopy or Nautilus or Maokai or something, and he can just run rampant and do his thing.
The funny thing is actually CLGEU now has not played Alistar and doesn't worry about Alistar anymore. They actually know exactly how they want to play against Alistar to prevent him from being a nuisance. It's more of a practice of Korea, because Korea thought so much of Alistar. And Snoopy had played Alistar from the beginning in the jungle when nobody else really had, and sort of made a difference doing it. However, now they're not worried about Alistar as a particular champion, and they let every... I'm not even sure he was banned that often in the fights, and they still target Froggen. The problem is that Froggen has a base of at least 4 champions. So it's really tough. Like, he plays a really good Morgana. We know his Anivia. He plays a great Ahri. And I'm going to forget the other one that's on the top of my mind.
AP Kog'Maw was one of them, but he's got a nerf.
I was going to say AP Kog'Maw got a nerf, but there is another champion that's escaping me off the top of my mind. But
he Karthus.
Diana too.
Yeah, he played Diana now, which is a terror. Oh man, you give Diana to him, he's and he does play Ryze as well. I forgot about Ryze.
Yeah, so. And Karthus, he plays a very good Karthus.
And he plays very good Karthus. So that's the problem. Like, Froggen is good, very very top level with 5 champions. You can try and ban him out, but I've never really seen it where there's a favorable matchup. But one of the things I want to see is I want to see CLGEU play a team like Dignitas, and I want to see exactly how Scarra plays Froggen, because they're considered 2 of the best AP mids in the game. I really think that could be so much fun just to watch that center lane. I could watch that center lane myself and not bother with anything else on the map. Like, I care less what's going on. I just want to see how they play each other, just to see how it goes, because I think it'd be awesome.
Oh man, look who is messaging me in game, guys.
Is it Sotere?
It is. So, guys, we're going to take a quick break right here. We'll be back in a few seconds. Just enjoy this break music right now, and we'll catch you very soon. Hey guys, welcome back. Sorry about that break. We were just trying to get our last member of the podcast in. Sotere decided to join us for the last half an hour of this podcast. What's up, Sotere?
Not too much. I got lost in my track of time, apparently.
We thought it was Wing Night. We thought we lost to Wing Night.
Yeah, we figured we lost you for good. Yeah.
No, Wednesday's always Wing Night.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. But, actually, I do want to bring this up with you, Sotere, because I'd like your opinion on it. We were talking about team comps with TSM, and then it led to a discussion with CLGEU also. But with a team comp for TSM, one of their major staples has been the Kayle Karthus combination. But if you're gonna, would you just ban Karthus as a whole because of worried about that staple if you're an opposing team playing TSM, or are you gonna look at it for more of a, I don't know, maybe try and steal a champion away? Say if you have first pick, maybe you want to steal Karthus first. Like, Can you do that, and is that viable when you get into it?
I think it is viable to take Karthus away as a first pick if you have it against TSM, because there are a lot of other people that are really great at playing Karthus, and he has a great late game presence. But it is, it's a dangerous line to walk, and TSM, I imagine, tend to be higher seeded and probably has good luck in winning coin tosses if it comes down to that as well.
A good point.
So it's not something you really want to leave available to them, and it's not just TSM that you want to ban that out against. I mean, that's a pretty common ban to get banned against CLG EU and M5, where no one really wants to play against that global presence of Karthus, and when it gets in the late game, very few AP carries do quite as much damage as him during the course of a team fight. And of course, even if you try to shut him down, he still has that extra period of time to do extra damage. So I mean, it's dangerous. I would prefer just to ban him out if you don't have first pick. And I think TSM would probably ban him against those particular teams that they know are well practiced with him.
Now, the second question I had for you of something we discussed is a champion that's near and dear to your heart since you've been playing him a ton, and that is Yorick. Yorick takes a big hit, in our opinion, of the nerfs he just got with the ghoul-based movement being reduced to 300 from 350 until he levels up, and they no longer block the enemy pathing, and Omen of Pestilence takes a 15 mana per 15 mana increase at all levels for a mana cast. And I want your opinion because I know you've been playing a lot of Yorick, especially in your solo queue games.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of him, and it's interesting because he was, when he came out, he was seen as very strong, and then he went through this period of time where he was showing up in tournaments but not doing very well, and then somehow that turned around and people either forgot how to play against him or realized how strong he was. And I think he plays really well against a lot of the usual competitive tops. But he has like a period of time, even previously where, he could really harass people early on, but he would run out of mana. So if you had any sort of sustain, and, I think we played against this with our Trinity Force podcast team was, just put you to your top and run Phoenix Stance and just push him out of lane and keep on, Turtle Stancing, Phoenix Stancing, push. So he already had that weakness. This is just going to make it even stronger. The mana cost increase is not huge. Those ghouls running slower probably significantly decrease the damage early on. But it's very tough to tell because now, of course, you'll have to outrun said minions. It'll be easier to do so, but while you're running away from them, you are going to be missing out on CS. So it's really going to depend on timing from that Yorick, as opposed to just spamming them down at any point. You're going to have to spam those ghouls down when minions are coming up and are being less hittable, and the enemy is not close to going into the brush, because it's just going to be that much easier to dodge back into the brush and lose the aggro from the ghoul minions.
Yeah, those are the two things I wanted your thoughts on, and then I wanted to talk about this as a whole, and that's Rengar. We saw AP Rengar make an appearance, really interesting appearance in OGN most recently, and it was really strong. Being able to get 3 casts on his W with AP damage, which is his Battle Roar, by the way. The ability power was reduced to 0.8 from being at 1-1, but when you could cast it 3 times, including his ult, if you had the right setup, even twice, was just a sick amount of damage that happened at these OGN matches. And now it looks like they nerfed that ability power, but then they increased other parts of him. Basically, almost every ability got a change in some form or fashion. I'm not going to go through all of them, but needless to say, maybe they really want him to make an appearance in Season 2 championships. It's really crazy how much of his looking at his changes and thinking, wow, I'm not sure why anybody wouldn't change him. If Diamond Prox from Moscow 5 has been exclusively playing him in the jungle for every solo queue game under a Smurf, and I forget the Smurf's name, Cassandra something, and it's all he's played and done very well, I might add, with him. So it wouldn't surprise me if we actually see a Rengar appearance after seeing these changes.
Wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, I have seen him being played a lot more, and to great effect before these changes have come through, obviously. But even as an AD champion, he's seeing more play and doing pretty well. And I was just very surprised. Obviously, there was a learning curve to learn this new champion because he came out and he had a really low win ratio. Wasn't doing terribly well in the jungle or in top lane. But I feel like that's changing a bit. Obviously, you're mentioning Diamond Prox playing him. Kevin played him in some recent show matches for SK and really just had a lot of sustain in the top lane, could not be pushed out. I was very impressed by it. I've seen him in solo queue, and he seems to be doing a ton of damage. I don't know whether it's just the fact that he is very snowbally, so you need to get those early kills or that early farm. That's really making the difference in his current incarnation, where I'm seeing him dominate, and why wasn't he dominating before? It's hard to tell. There are a lot of people or a lot of champions that can't really go in the jungle unless they get those early kills. But if you put them top lane or if you get them farmed early on, get some kills early on, they really dominate games. And I guess the greatest example of that in my mind is Aurelia. Like, not good in the jungle, but if you do put her top lane, she is incredibly, incredibly strong. And perhaps Rengar is just in that little, area where you get him those extra stacks on that bone tooth necklace, or you just get those extra couple of items, and he really takes off.
I think the great thing about Rengar putting him in the top lane is that the bush dominance he has. He's not a normal champ like a Garen that can just, Garen will sit in the bush, wait for a Q, walk up and hit you. Rengar, with this change now, they're actually making it so he automatically attacks a champion when he jumps out of a bush. And so, he can jump out, attack, do some damage, throw a bola strike on him and walk away with, little to no damage. I guess with an Aurelia jumping onto him, it's going to equilibrium strike to your face. But I can't think of many other champions who have maybe an Olaf or Aurelia that you're going to take even trade with in that top lane.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about that. And not only that, but I really think what we didn't realize or what we haven't realized as a community is just his mobility, I think, is kind of underrated. He has mobility plus, the stealth that he can pull off with his ultimate. The combination of the two, I think, can be really, really strong. We always talk about one of the most interesting topics that's come up recently is how strong Shaco is at higher elo games compared to further down and further down the elo you go, the less effective Shaco is, which is really quite interesting in that when you get to high elo games, I've heard of a bunch of players actually exclusively playing Shaco when they're allowed to in the game and really having a real snowbally effect that really affects the game way early and you can't do anything about it. And I kind of wonder, with Rengar, I almost wonder if it's the same thing where if he can get snowbally early because of his mobility and abilities in themselves, especially after getting this buff, maybe he'll start getting banned in S2. It wouldn't surprise me, depending on how teams see this patch.
I think he, is kind of in the category of all those champions that are rather annoying to play against, like Shaco, like
That's
Eve.
a good point.
Because the one I played against today was like a split pushing machine. He would just go ahead and push, and he was very strong in lane. Went against a Renekton and won that, and then he started split pushing, and we would chase him, and he would just hit his ultimate. And if you don't have an Oracle, when he hits his ultimate, he has a long time, 7 seconds to run essentially wherever he wants. Following that, and that's just going to get worse now that his movement speed is going to get pumped up even more. So we would chase after him, and we would have 3 people there. We'd all go different directions, and no one would catch up to him regardless. We were just
I feel like your AD carry isn't safe if you put Rengar in the top lane. If you get to the team fight phase reasonably even, I feel like your AD carry is going to need more protection than normal.
And I don't think so. I don't think Rengar is that much different than any of the other characters that jump on an AP carry that are top lane. I mean, Olaf can pop his R, run to the back. The only difference is Rengar can do it instantly, while Aurelia needs to get in the right position to queue in, or Olaf needs to pop his R and Ghost to get to the back carry.
But the difference to me is that at least with those, you can position yourself as an AD carry, and Sotere, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I feel like you can position yourself correctly as an AD carry when you see that coming, because you know it's going to come. But when it comes to someone like Rengar, you may not know exactly where it's coming from. Is it going to come from right in the middle of the team fight? Is it going to come from that he's able to actually jump from a different location that comes around the back? There's a lot of ways that you could possibly set that up that it's going to be a little bit harder to actually stop it. And I almost feel like an AD carry has to be really hesitant about getting into a team fight when Rengar could possibly pull this off, especially early dragon fights when oracles aren't even present yet.
Yeah, I mean, he does bring that to the table. It is scary. You're obviously not going to see it coming. You hope that your support's nearby and, is going to give you protection from the Rengar, but especially in unorganized play, I mean, he's going to be an issue and is an issue and has, a good amount of burst, whether you're building him AP or Trinity Force. It just depends on, what skill you're kind of prioritizing at that point. But either way, he's going to be enough to really chunk down those AD carries, especially with these changes coming in. Will be very, very frightening.
You guys talk about catching somebody, and I think one of the biggest buffs this patch is the Nidalee buff. Not because you can chase her, but because they're actually giving Cougar form an increased attack range. And that was one of her big issues. Is there's this little tiny area where she couldn't attack in, and it was shorter than most of the other melee carries that had that range. So giving her this extra 25 range on her normal attacks, I would be surprised to see more Nidalees, especially in solo queue.
I wonder if it makes me curious about the zoning part of it, because Nidalee is definitely a top lane bush hider, and what I mean by that is hide in the bush and then come out, hide in the bush and come out and play that poke game, or the appearance and non-appearance. I do wonder if that's going to make a difference. I feel like it could.
It's going to make a difference for AD Nidalee, that's for sure.
Okay.
She because she had a really hard time getting in there and attacking. It felt like a bug. She couldn't. You had to be standing on top of the person, like how like a person you can chase them and be just like a few, like a teamo, not even teamo, like half a teamo away from a person and still hit them.
Yeah,
Nidalee couldn't do that because she had to be, a quarter of a teamo away. Not even that.
The global taunt. The global taunt it is.
But yeah, that's a buff that she's needed since her incarnation.
Right. One of the things I do want to mention is, we're talking about the patch notes and some of the top teams. Don't forget, for all of you that don't know, 3 of the 4 of us in this podcast are writing respective team previews, like really comprehensive.
We haven't even announced them yet, have we?
I think I'm pretty sure we have, between all of Monte Cristo's
well,
tweets
we have
about
it. There it is.
So, yeah. Let me just say that if you're looking for a comprehensive coverage of S2, it will be coming. Season 2 championships, for anything and everything you want to know about respective teams, they are coming. And look for us at GG Chronicle, because we will be writing these up and putting together probably the best comprehensive preview of anybody for all the teams in Season 2. So look for that, because we're trying to base this off of what we're going to see. I look at things like the Ziggs change. I don't know if it's enough. I have seen some Ziggs in certain games, but just not at the very, very high level. And I kind of wonder what that's going to leave. Knockback range increased on satchel charge. Knock up height on enemies has increased. Until I actually see that, I don't know what good or bad that is. I assume it's a good increase, but how good of an increase is it? That kind of is vague to me, but the increased damage on the ultimate for Ziggs, I think, is definitely going to make a difference.
Quality of life increases. It's not going to make him any more playable or any less playable. Really. I mean, with so many other AP mids that we talked about earlier, just talking about Froggen and the 5 he can play, and that's pretty much the 5 that everybody plays, and you add Twisted Fate on top of that. Right. That you can't ban everybody out. They're going to pick one of those, and they're more than likely not going to pick Ziggs. Especially, like Gragas and seeing his return now.
That's a good point. You forget about Gragas, too, because he disappeared for a good period there from any competitive play, and then all of a sudden made a resurgence again. And you see just about every major AP player play it. Alex Ich played it. I even think that I think Froggen actually played Gragas at some point, but it's one of those that we kind of forgot about. But I think as Sotere has mentioned before, there are champions that just were forgotten about, but yet nothing really changed about them. They just forgot that how dominant they could be in the game if they're really played well. Because Reginald played Gragas, showed the power of Gragas a long, long time ago and how good he really was. So there's another champion to mention.
Oh man, what about Caitlyn? Well, go ahead, take it.
Making the Gragas comparison is a little bit iffy in the sense that Gragas did get a little bonus. He got a base health increase. He got a movement speed bonus to his body slam. So a lot of times there are little, changes that are made that really, go under the radar, but make a champion, played more viable and then played. So that happened with Gragas. And that could be happening with Ziggs as well. I know Salse really liked playing Ziggs. We saw him play that a couple of times, and now, he's not really on TSM Evo anymore. That's all in flux. He might be playing top lane. Who knows what's going on with him? But he loved the champion, and so you're increasing his mobility. And he's also received a number of buffs in the last couple of patches. I believe they reduced the mana cost of his E or something along those lines. So there's certainly some good things that are happening with him. That might make him viable. And he has always been a good laner. He has, good laning presence, farms incredibly easy, steals race incredibly easy. So I would not be surprised if he is played more, because there are, little changes that keep on coming on, and those are going to, add up. Those are going to stack up. And, is this the one that's going to put him over the edge? I don't know. Just judging by the preview, it looks nice, but I can't really tell beyond that.
Right.
Hard thing with Ziggs is it's all skill. All his damage is skill shots. Besides, like his E, his Q is you got to make sure you hit, everybody in the group. And if you land it all, he does a ton of damage. And of course, his ult does quite a bit of damage. But if you're not very good with him and you can't land those Q and skill shots and whatnot, you're pretty much a waste to your team. No CC, no nothing.
I know our friend Holy Spark believes in this and how Ziggs can be a really good part of a poke comp because he can zone and because of his Q, and it's another effect of, okay, well, if he can do a little bit more damage with his ultimate, does that mean he could have a better presence in other lanes in the beginning of the game? I kind of wonder that. I don't know the answer to that. We haven't seen it, but it's something I question. And as we transition off of that, I do want to talk about.
That's why we play Bankplank.
That's right. That's why we play Bankplank, because his ultimate.
Because it's true global ultimate.
That's right.
You're getting gold the entire time. Sotere, you missed us. We talked about Bankplank for like 25 minutes.
Also something that's kind of coming back.
We'll have to see about that. I do want to talk about these AD carries though, because it seems like obviously we've been stuck in the stalemate of Corki, Ezreal, and I just drew a blank. I apologize. The third AD carry that we've been seeing nothing of. It's been Graves. Sorry. And now it looks like they want to make sure that the other AD carries might get some play with a little buff to Caitlyn, maybe a little buff to Misfortune. I am all for this, a little base movement speed for Vayne. I'm all for this because I really think there needs to be a better variety again, because I think they've been missing. It's always been the same three. I've actually been waiting to see if one team was going to be ballsy enough to ban two of them and take the last one. In any particular draft, but it hasn't happened yet because there's still some other champions that are still considered too OP to not ban out. But it's kind of interesting to think that maybe we'll have more variety come season 2 championships because of these minor buffs.
I don't know if anyone wants to jump in on that, but yeah, those three have been in steady place. They obviously all took nerfs in, I guess, 2 patches ago, was it? But they're all incredibly powerful now. There was a Reddit post on it that was like really enlightening, and it was basically like Ezreal is picked or banned in like 95% of high elo games, high elo solo queue that is, and he had an incredible win percentage, which kind of just indicates that he's very overpowered, in the sense that he's being picked a lot, he's succeeding a lot. So certainly, that is a bad thing. And the other two champions, the Corki and Graves, didn't have a very successful win ratio. They were either 50% or a little bit below this. Obviously judging by LoL King stats, so I'm pretty sure they're reasonably reliable. But they actually had a over 50% win percentage when put against anyone except Ezreal. So he's kind of the cream of the crop. The other two are falling behind. It always amuses me because for so long he was considered a second, third tier AD carry. I think if you take them out of the mix though, I think Sivir is kind of coming on into her own right. Like obviously the spell shield is incredibly powerful, and I think a lot of people are learning how to play her or know how to play her. So I think she's kind of like right below that third tier. So when, they get nerfed anymore, I think that'll be an issue. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see some more diversity in that bottom lane. Are those small changes that we've seen with the Vayne, increase in movement speed and the Caitlyn, increase in damage on the Q, going to make a difference? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be quite enough.
Auslander, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You beat me to it. I was going to ask. I know, man. You heard Auslander talk so much. He hasn't talked this much in like 20 podcasts.
Right.
For the first half an hour.
You got more enlightenment to the Mathlander than you ever thought, and he was actually going to look up more math stuff on certain questions. And now what? Where are you at, buddy?
I'm scared of Sotere.
Aww.
I wouldn't be scared of him. He was so close to 2,200 and just couldn't make it. So he proved that he just doesn't have what it takes.
Oh, I made it. I don't know what you're
That's
talking
bullshit. I saw you at 2196 the other day, and I messaged Auslander. I said, I hope he doesn't make it. I hope he bombs.
Oh. Well, that is mean and cruel, but thankfully your top rating is locked in. My top rating is 2204. I'm diamond, bitches, or platinum, or whatever the top rating is now.
Nice.
It's very fancy.
Get up there.
Your little icon.
Yeah, so pretty. But I was there for like a total of 25 minutes. Like I played a game, got to diamond, then played the next game, lost it. So it was a very short-lived success.
Congrats, Tarek. That's exactly what it looks like. It looks like Tarek's base skin. That icon for diamond or platinum or whatever you got. That's interesting.
Yeah, I like how it has your top rating there, and then below Kurt rating 2164.
Doesn't matter. The top number matters.
Yep.
So is Rut Gaming, is that your new team, Sotere?
Rev Gaming is the team I'm still trying out for. We actually won the Killstill Gaming tournament last weekend. We didn't have like incredibly good competition, but like Underrated was supposed to be in it, as was Four Knots, and they lost in the early rounds, which makes me, I think they just must have forfeited. Must not have shown up. But yeah, it was a fun little tournament that we played in, so still trying to be officially a part of that team, which is kind of a headache getting in. And apparently they're actually practicing right now with a different support, so
Oh, no.
no bueno. But I mean, they told me to practice with them, but I did not sign on to Skype and was obviously late here as well. So it's just some personal issues.
Timekeeping problems.
Yeah, timekeeping problems, not actual issues.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about your issues, sir.
Well, there are none. So
you just
Personal
make sure you
problems.
tell us that you're going for wing night on Wednesdays, and that's all I care to know.
okay.
So, well, I wanted to kind of take a moment to tell everybody that, apologize for last week's podcast. I didn't get it out until Tuesday. Unfortunately, I'm the one who puts it together, and I kind of had a whole bunch of stuff get in the way for that. And so, I released it on Tuesday, so if you missed episode number 45, I did release it. It is out there. You can go find it on ggchronicle.com, trinityforcepodcast.com, wherever you want it, iTunes.
If you really like to know the real story, it's because
Whoa, censored,
is really
censored.
too damn sexy. I mean, this is just what it comes down to. That kind of
this
gets
is
in
for
way
the
of
little
putting the
kids.
podcast out.
No, you have to be over 18 to hear this story.
No, I just said you're sexy. That's it. I gave you compliments. Okay.
You do have to get some color though. Like you tweeted a picture of yourself dressed up the other night, and I was like, "Oh my god, he is so."
Yeah.
Michigan, that does that to you, doesn't it?
I'm from Kentucky. I don't...
But Michigan does it too.
Yep.
Yeah. I actually had a tan. I had a farmer's tan going from Michigan, and then it wore off by that time. But apparently the bitches don't care.
Wow.
Bitches love you, though.
Must be 18 or over, but regardless, we're going to be disrespectful to those women types.
Too good. One thing I did want to mention, because I think it's really interesting, and that is the personal sponsorship from digibet.com to Ocelot. This is probably, there's been a lot of talk about whether there would actually be betting, and they've even talked about whether they could put IP or RP bets into games on the League of Legends client. I know that got a lot of play at one time at Reddit. But the fact that there is a individual sponsorship, and given Ocelot is one of the most watched, if not, no, probably he's one of the most watched. He's definitely the most watched on OWN TV by far. But he consistently has over 10K viewers with his stream being up for about 30 minutes, and usually gets up to a high number. It's consistent. He always entertains. He does a very good job for his fans. And good for him for getting a sponsorship like this. I really think it's interesting, because then if you go look at Digibet's site, which I don't condone gambling, and if you're in the United States, you can't care because you can't even gamble anyway. But for those of you who are in Europe and other places, it's really interesting that you can actually bet on individual games, individual results, first bloods, just the match that will happen. We're doing the podcast on Tuesday night. The match that will happen at about 5 or 6 a.m. tomorrow morning between Zenix Storm, if I can get that out, and Najin Sword for the OGN, the Korean qualifiers for Season 2 championships. I think it's the semifinals are tomorrow morning and the finals are Friday morning. You can already bet on those. You can bet on the game tomorrow, which I find really, really interesting. So looks like they've already got odds and things you can do, and it's really crazy that a personal sponsorship is now coming into law, and I hope that the future for this actually gets brighter and brighter, because we've seen sponsorships related to teams, but never sponsorships that related to personal players yet that we know of. Maybe there are some here and there, but I think they've all been team-based because of League of Legends being a team game. Well, now we have a first individual, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. The betting thing I wouldn't consider too odd, and I remember there were a lot of articles coming in from American, sportscasters, news writers, following the Olympics, and one topic was the fact that you could bet on everything, and that's because it's not really illegal there over in the UK, and they have betting. What are they? They're essentially just like little stands in pretty much everywhere. So I mean, it's very easy to place bets over there. It's a completely different perspective on the whole betting, and we have it minimized. You can do it in Vegas and Atlantic City, and I don't know. I actually don't even know what the rules are in Atlantic City, but essentially it's
no sports book.
You can't do it in Atlantic City.
Oh, no sports betting. Okay.
Trust me, I'd be there every weekend.
So essentially it's just Vegas, but in the UK it's really easy to do it wherever, and you would be like, oh, does that lead to a lot of people having issues with gambling? And it really doesn't. So I mean, perhaps it doesn't need to be restricted to the extent we think, but I guess we're not going to see it in an online manner for a while, would be my guess, unfortunately.
Well, it would be it would be smart if our government just regulated all of it and just took all the money and tax money on it, because it's not like,
my God,
it's so much money. They should just legalize everything, drugs, you name it, and just take the tax money on it.
Open opinion. I kind of like it.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna do drugs, well, I mean, I don't think if drugs were legal, I would all of a sudden decide, you know what, heroin's legal, I'm gonna go do heroin. We all know what heroin does. It's not good. So,
well, let me say this, and because to your point, I live in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania just recently added casinos throughout the state. This was about 5 years ago, I believe, and there are now casinos spread throughout the state. And the money made is a really, really whopping percentage that's given to the state and given to local areas for property taxes. And I can tell you that the isolation that they've been able to put these places in, they put them in if you don't know the local geography, the Poconos are a mountainous area that is known for having a couple resorts in the northeast part of Pennsylvania. they put them in such locations that they don't seem to be having too many issues socially that everybody all fears because of happening gambling areas. And it's really impressive that the amount of money that actually raised has actually benefited very, very well. So if that could happen, hey, League of Legends, if you could bet and have fun with it, and it didn't account for anything, but that's another story, and we don't need to get political on this podcast, like we haven't.
Or any more so than we already have so far.
Yeah, but it is weird watching sports. Like if you watch a lot of soccer and overseas, they have those billboards on the sidelines that they rotate ads. And I remember like the first time I saw it, it was very odd. It was that it would rotate and it would have like the game you were watching. They would have an ad for a betting house, like whatever, Steven Gerrard 3-1 to score the next goal. And you're just like, what? Like that was just so weird the first time I saw that. Like, because over here it's all verboten, but. Yeah.
Well, aren't there soccer teams that have sponsorships from betting companies on their jersey?
Yeah, for sure. I think Real Madrid, are they still BWin? That's a site. I think so. Yeah. I think Bayern Munich as well. And then there's
the major teams have betting on their jerseys.
Yeah, even the not major teams. I think West Brom this year is sponsored by some online gambling site. So. But yeah,
there's betting everywhere, and just except here, and who knows if that'll happen. In any case, I just wanted to say that personal sponsorship is really interesting, and I want to see if that continues, where we start seeing some bigger personalities, like an odd one, who gets plenty of viewers and streamers, and others start getting personal sponsorships, or even if their teams allow them to get personal sponsorships. That's really where the interesting next phase is going to go when we get into the end of season 2 and beginning of season 3.
I think it'd be hard for them to disallow the sponsorships.
I don't think they'd disallow them per se, but I think they'd be frowned upon. Like, I think TSM, because of the way they're run, we all know that, Reginald more or less runs the entire team. I think it would be so frowned upon that somebody got a personal sponsorship, like an odd one maybe got a personal sponsorship compared to others on the team. I could see there being issues with that. I'm not sure how far that would go, but like, I think in the case of like Curse, they wouldn't care. Let's say if St. Vicious, got a personal sponsorship for something, that probably wouldn't matter. But because of the way the team dynamic is, but I think there are certain teams that maybe it would be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Skara could get something. Nice guy Skara. He'll get a sponsorship or something. Who knows?
Maybe by an airline.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Any case, with that, I think we're done, guys. You got anything else?
Oh, did you just take over the hosting?
I did, because you weren't talking and you weren't saying shit.
Oh, that's not true. I was just letting you guys go on about gambling, because as much as I love gambling, I have nothing invested in sport gambling.
No, you don't ask me for football team picks or anything.
Well, until this year, right? Broncos cost me $3 this week. Those bastards.
Big loss for the Banhammer.
First time betting on a sports team. They let me down.
Well, what do you mean you don't have anything invested in it? You bet more recently than anyone, probably. You had a bet going last night.
With the math later in this call, I'm starting to doubt this.
No, I haven't bet on anything in a while. I don't know, couple of years. Trust me, I was tempted. Just if they're talking about legalizing, adding a sports book to Atlantic City, and
right,
yeah,
right.
I'd absolutely go down there. I'd go down there at least twice a year just to put, like whatever.
I would go down just because it is a lot of fun to be there for a football Sunday and bet. I will say, if they had that going on. And the funny thing is in Delaware, they do allow parlay bets on football teams. And I know a lot of people where I'm originally from is pretty close to the Delaware casinos that provide this. And there's a lot of people in the surrounding area that all give their picks, and then one person is designated to go up and submit all of the picks and all the bets and come back. And if anybody wins, then they'll go back, and they'll be the ones that'll go pick up their money and then submit the bets for anybody else. It's tough. I mean, parlay odds are nasty as it is, and especially in the NFL when you have no idea what's going on. But it's still fun, and people seem to enjoy just putting $5 on a parlay and just saying, let's see what happens. So, it'd be funny if you could start parlaying League of Legends bets. I would be all about that.
I don't understand the odds on Digibet's site for the games. They seem like they're not balanced properly. Like it seems like they're 100% exploitable at the moment. So I don't know if that's just like it seems that the odds seems like if you bet on both teams, you always come out ahead. So
We'll have to see how that
Gotta
works
be some
out.
trick.
yeah, just
As
have
I say,
to.
there's got to be something we're missing.
They're probably taking some piece of your winning.
I don't
or
think so.
whatever. I don't know.
I mean, there's some where even if they were taking a cut, you would still come out way ahead. And trust me, I wish I lived. If I wish I was a European citizen right now.
We get you a European bank account. Lots of people play poker over there. The European. We can get you a proxy.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do that? Get you an account. Get you a European. We get you a European proxy over there. VPN tunnel.
Tempting.
Yeah. I mean,
What?
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just say we'll just get you taken
We
care
could
of.
make this a segment. The radical adventures of betting Auslander.
Watches a guy with no
Look at
vices
this.
all of a sudden picks up a the worst.
Very serious one.
So
Yeah.
what's your latest story on who you bet on and what happened? And then hey, that would be funny though. Tell good stories about it. I would like that. Just saying.
Well, Into LoL actually had like you could bet on the game, so to speak, but you were just like betting for like points on the website and just for recognition and whatnot. And I really like that. And I think that's like any sport. I feel like that's the natural progression of sports. Like you have a sport, you get competitive about it, the fans get competitive about it, and people want to bet on it. And so, I mean, I like the idea of that. I would like to see it grow. I don't think it would cause as many issues as most Americans probably would think.
Right.
But we'll see where it goes, I suppose.
I would love to bet IP if anything.
Isn't
Right.
there like lolbets.com or something that like people actually money on? I had somebody message me one time and said, "Hey, can you tell people about my betting site?" And I didn't really think it was too relevant for the podcast. But now that Ocelot has been sponsored by one,
Yeah.
I guess a little more. I'll have to go back and look through that. I apologize if you're listening today and I don't know the name of it. But
Right.
reason,
The other thing is there's also Fantasy League of Legends, which I know there was a beta site that was put together, but I'm not sure how far that's going to go or if they're going to actually fully launch for season 2. I assume they're fully launching for the season 2 championships, but that's another aspect of where we're seeing this go, because I really believe that this is some of the stuff they want to incorporate, because they feel like the viewership can only grow when people have more things invested in watching the games, and as we're going to see them, we're going to see matches on weeknights on a stream for free, just like you would see a football game on TV or a soccer match on TV. So I think if they give more things for people to be invested in, that's what they can allow viewership to grow. So I mean, if they could somehow finagle it where they could allow IP to be bet, although I'm pretty sure in the US that'll never be allowed to happen.
right.
Exactly.
It's amazing how interesting something becomes when you have money riding on it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Why do you think I sounded like football? It's not because I'm actually enjoying
Mainstream
it. It's because
Banhammer,
there-
all mainstream things.
because there's-
baseball games, football.
It's because there's women and betting involved.
Imagine how much you would yell at like someone like Special for giving up first blood. Like, what the fuck were you doing? What are you doing sitting over there? Why? Why were you there? That positioning was bad. Don't you see the guy coming to gank? Like, I could see that all happening as you're yelling at your stream as you're watching the game. Like, it just
Where is it in the United States? Is it Rhode Island? I think it is. Connecticut. But do you remember the controversy between the one? There was an Xbox game, 1 versus 100,
Oh yes.
and like Connecticut and Rhode Island and stuff. They all couldn't win the prizes.
Yes.
And people loved it.
Yes.
I actually used to play that. It was fun.
I actually play that as well, because I would actually get my wife involved and she would actually
Right.
play, and it was actually a fun game to play, and then they just let it die, and it was like, I know they had a ton of people playing that thing. I was surprised they actually got rid of it, but yeah, that I know that had part to do with it. That sucks.
Were you ever?
I just brought that up because you were talking about not allowing to bet, and that reminds me there's just so many
Right.
states out there.
There's so many
you
state
guys had
laws
mentioned
doing
that.
so many things, and it's funny because when you allow a casino to come into a state, then all of a sudden any other side gambling that was going on gets crushed. I mean, absolutely crushed. I mean, the local Legion, American Legion down the road would always have those little punch boards, that you could, pay a quarter and you punch a thing and see if you could win more, and it goes on forever, and the establishment eventually makes money on it, but you could get lucky and you just sit there at the bar and gamble with it. Yeah, not allowed. It's not like they make a bunch of money or if they really did anything wrong, but there's a bunch of people who would go hang out, who would play like punch boards and other stupid stuff. Yeah, not allowed. Sorry, that's illegal gambling now, and that's not allowed because you have to go to the casino now. The casino is paying for us to be able to enforce this on you. Now we have jobs. It's like, the cops wouldn't even bother before. It's something stupid. Anyway, another story.
There's so much drama about the gambling, but it is super exciting. I mean, I wish something big was happening.
The gambling
blowing up.
podcast.
Sotere, you've been blowing up all night over there. What's going on?
Skype messages.
Oh.
No, just like crazy.
I think that's actually his caster network, I believe.
It is the caster network.
Because every time it beeps, I know
that.
exactly a message is coming. Yes.
Oh, how annoying.
Yes.
That's why I keep myself on D&D.
I should do that as well.
I also got out of it.
Yeah, I stay on the caster network.
That caster network always blowing up. It is annoying when you're like trying to listen. Well, obviously for you guys, I apologize. I didn't even know you could hear that. But also annoying when you're like trying to wait for one person to message you, and suddenly like every 2 minutes, someone is blowing you up. You're like, oh, something important's happening. Nope. Just the caster network.
Yeah. By the way, it's lolbet.com is the website that I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
But you can't bet real money. You're just betting fake points and to eventually get first to third place and win RP.
Okay.
And it looks like you're just betting on ranked solo Summoner's Rift games. So it's not like, it doesn't look like it's professional, but obviously I don't have an account. So it's just going off what their front page shows.
You can win RP eventually.
If you want to bribe Sotere into losing a solo queue game.
Yeah, right?
Oh, right? Yeah, how can they contact us to do that?
Yeah. Take us out.
Oh, no, wait, quick. Hornet, because I released the podcast today, I've had a couple inquiries about who's winning. Can you give us a little bit more rundown on that? Are you going to be picking it next Thursday now?
Oh, yeah, I have to pick it next Thursday now. That's right. By the way, let me repeat the contest for you guys. Since I have never bought a skin in the game clients, I currently own 4 skins. And I'll give another hint to this because I think this is none of those skins are pack skins, by the way.
And it's not the first person to answer.
And it's not the first person to get the answer right. I will actually pick all the correct answers. If you can guess 3 of the 4 skins that I own, then I will pick a person at random. You will get a skin that Auslander is currently in possession of. We will either tweet it or email it to you. If you tweet at the 23 Force Podcast with answers, or tweet at me at Hornet AJC, we will sift through and make sure that all of you who actually get it right will be in a chance for random to get a skin. And I really don't think there's going to actually be that many right answers. If you're able to get all 4 of the skins, even if it's just the champions, by the way, name the champions that I own the skins for. If you're able to get all 4 champions that I own skins for, I will give $10 in RP to the first person who's able to actually pull that off. If you're able to do it. Now, you can only name 4 champions in the entry. Don't go naming 10 champions and saying, okay, you got all 4.
Or you can.
But
we had somebody really close tonight. Someone tweeted at us during this.
Nice.
Yeah. Very. They got 3 to the 4 right.
Okay, that's what I expect. I expect people to get 3 of 4, but I do not expect anyone to actually dig up and be able to get 4 of 4. You might be able to.
I got 3,
but,
I think, when you asked me.
Yes, you were the only one to get 3. By the way, you were the only one to get 3 of those of us in the podcast. Because I asked everybody in the podcast this question, and the only person who got 3 was Auslander.
You didn't help me, Banhammer.
Everybody else...
No, I
helped
gotcha. Get one of the skins, yeah.
Yep. That was a long time ago, so... that's another hint for you that I threw out there. So if you get 4, first person who's actually able to get 4 skins right, I will give $10 in RP to. So there you go.
And he hasn't even given himself $10 in RP, so it's kind of a big deal.
I know, but he still ruined our intro. Our intro's totally gone. Tom's never around to be AP mid. Hornet spent some money on this game.
I actually did spend money on this game.
I don't even play 80 carry anymore.
Well, my bank account is stuck at 0, so
yeah.
That one used to not be true, but unfortunately now it's true.
Yeah, you're 17k in RP. That's, like a man. Actually, I was so sad when Odd One had 19k RP the other day. I was so sad when I found out someone had more RP than you.
God, how much RP did the guys that got brand new accounts in Korea get? It was something sick, like CLGU and CLG.
Yeah, it was like
and
100,000 or something crazy.
Oh my god, it was like, okay, here, have all the RP you want. There you go.
Just
Yeah, it
for
was just
creating
temporary,
an account.
though.
It was temporary, but still, like, the fact that she's just like, yeah, I kind of want this skin. Okay, I'm gonna play that. That's just awesome and broken at all the same time. Any case, please tweet or email your answers, and you know, maybe you'll get lucky and get all 4. Because, like I said, the first person who gets all 4 will give it. Everybody gets 3 of 4. I will randomly draw and give you a skin. So.
If you mail me $5, I'll just give you all the answers, and you can get 10 from Hornet.
Lord knows you need those at RP. So why don't you take us out? Let people know where they can get a hold of
Okay,
us.
you can give us a call at 203-49-FORCE. That's 203-493-6723. You can also text us at that number, and we'll respond. Or you can email us at feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com. We actually monitor it now. It's all been squared away.
Yeah.
Unlike when, no, we haven't getting any emails, and we log on, and there's like, I don't know, like a couple dozen. But anyway,
Yeah,
fixed
oops.
now. Email us. We'll actually read them and answer. And or you can follow us on Twitter at TForce Podcast or at GG Chronicle.
So yeah, that'll do it for this week, guys. Thanks a lot for listening again. Trinity Force Podcast episode number 45 is out there. It's on the website. Please go check it out if you did not see it, because this one is you'll be probably listening to this Thursday morning, Friday, depending on when you want to listen to the podcast. Sheen Prox, if you didn't already listen to it, You Are Pounce. We had him on this week. That was put out yesterday, which was Wednesday. And that's it. We'll have another Sheen Prox before the Season 2 championships. And that's it, guys. Unless anyone else has anything else, we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Have fun. Have a good time.
Oh, shit.
So we need some AP then? Okay. How about this one? Dead and dangerous. If you wanna win, then roll with us. Cause when I turn on my AoE, better hope Blitzcrank don't grab at me. And yes, of course it's harsh. I'm running mid lane just like my marsh. And no, you don't wanna mess with me. I'm the Statue of Liberty. Now your whole team's got their pinger focused onto the Death Singer, trying so hard not to linger in the lane with me. Tonight we're trying hard. But knew this game is ours. I'm tearing you apart. I'll hit you from afar. Hey God, this bless out. Don't matter if you're bad. My sky bombs make you mad. I'm white, my brew is sad. I'll hit you from afar. Hey God, this bless out.
The Trinity Force Podcast is brought to you by ggchronicle.com. Esports news, coverage, opinion. Join the League of Legends community at ggchronicle.com.